Haven't been streaming in a while. It's been 3 solid weeks, I think. I went to QCon in San Francisco. I went to CubeCon in San Diego. And the week after that was Thanksgiving week. So I just kind of took a break from streaming for that week. But I'm back and ready to go. So we're going to kind of pick up a little bit where I left off in a few episodes back. We worked through Microservice with Docker Compose, which is great for local development. Really easy to get up and running with that and to commit that knowledge to your repo and transfer it to your team. But in terms of deployment, we want to think about using Kubernetes. And that's where I'm going to start today. I tried a little bit of this in previous streams and it didn't work. So we're going to hopefully get this figured out, and maybe we'll do some stumbling through it. We're going to see a lot of failure this stream. If you know anything about Kubernetes, please feel free to chime in. Kubernetes, AKS, anything like that, please feel free to chime in. I have, in the past, I'm going to use Couchbase for my database. That part seems to work just fine. It's when I'm actually doing the ASP.NET application to connect to Couchbase. It seems to give me some errors in Kubernetes, and I don't know what's causing them. I don't know how to diagnose those errors. So we're going to stumble through Kubernetes a little bit today, which reminds me, I probably should have done this before I started, but I don't have an actual Kubernetes cluster up and running yet on AKS. So I'm going to do that, and do that right now because it takes some time. So what I've been doing is I'm just using the command line. So we'll go ahead and just start doing this right now. I got some more stuff to get to, but we're going to kick off this service here. So I've been following this tutorial. This is really great. I used this recently at a KubeCon where I was 2 weeks ago, which is a Kubernetes conference, and I was able to get a Couchbase cluster on AKS as well as a Spring Boot application, which runs on Java. This was a demo that was prepared by a teammate for KubeCon, basically, and it worked just fine. It worked beautifully. So I'm 100% sure the problem lies in my ASP.NET application or the way I'm configuring it or something else. So we're going to see what we can do. Let's get going here. So I'm also using here Windows Terminal. It's the first time I use this on the stream. I've been using it on my laptop for a while, and I finally got around to updating the desktop so I can install the preview of Windows Terminal, which is fantastic. It's a tabbed terminal. I can switch to PowerShell, CMD. I can go to Azure Cloud Shell, which might actually be something I want to use in this case, but I'm not going to. I can use Windows Subsystem for Linux, which I don't think I have that configured yet, so it won't work. So I'm sticking with PowerShell right now, and we're going to call this this is a resource group in Azure, so we're going to call it Hello Microservice Group. East US is fine. So creating a group won't take very long. I'm already logged in, by the way, connected and logged into Azure with my credentials, so I skipped over those steps in the tutorial here. This is the part that takes a long time. And actually, I've got a snippet saved away because I don't want to use the default a VM size for this. So I'm just going to paste this from another window here. So this is saying we're going to create in the resource group, and I call my resource group Hello Microservice Group. And I'm going to name it, not Twitch chatbot cluster, but Hello Microservice AKS. We're creating an AKS cluster here now, a Kubernetes cluster. And I'm going to give it a node count of, let's just go 2. That's enough for now, because this is going to cost some money. I'm going to go with node VM size standard B2S, and this node size is going to vary a lot based on what you want to do with your cluster. Standard B2S is the cheapest one that I think serves my needs for running Couchbase or enable monitoring. Not sure what that means yet. But that's part of the tutorial. And generate SSH keys. So we're going to kick that off. And that's going to take some time to run. Just make sure it actually is going to run before I switch back and go through the rest of my spiel. Normally it would say something. We'll just keep an eye on that. We'll keep that down there. I'll bring back up my notes and we'll go through the normal spiel. So just keep an eye on that bottom window down there for Windows Terminal. Okay. In this stream, if you've never been here before, this is one of my rules. Is that the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. So do not be afraid, embarrassed, or worried about your question. This is a no judgment zone for questions. So no matter how stupid you think it is, I can promise you it's not. And in fact, some of the best questions I've ever gotten were asked to me as stupid questions. So please do not worry about asking questions in here. If anyone gives you the business, that's not allowed. So we're going to deal with that. So please ask questions and whatever you like. Something you see on the screen, something unrelated, something to do with coding, hopefully, but ask away. All right, what else? Yes, Team Live Coders. So I am a member of something called Team Live Coders, which is a Twitch team, and we'll just keep it here at the top because I want to see that bottom window. See, normally it would give me some sort of like executing text here, so I'm a little worried about that. But anyway, Live Coders team. This is just a Twitch team. We're up to 94 members now, so we've actually grown a little bit since last time I checked. But these are team members who are doing coding on Twitch, doing live coding, or building interesting things with technology. And you can see right now we've got C# Fritz, who's sort of the godfather of the team, the team leader, team coach, I don't know, team manager, something like that. He's streaming right now. And we got a few others also streaming, including myself. But you can see there's a whole list of people here in different time zones, different subjects. You can check out their streams. Start by going to twitch.tv/team/livecoders. Always a good place to go if you're looking to watch some live coding. Another place you can go is something called Awesome Developers Streaming List. And I'll just bring this up real quick. Whoops. Not that browser. This one. Oh, there we go. See at the bottom there? It says running. That's what I expected to happen. I don't know why it took so long. But there we go. So it's running. It's going to take some time, probably 10 minutes-ish, to get that cluster created up and running on AKS. I wanted to do that one time, set up the cluster. That's not something you have to do every single time. Unless you're like me and you delete the resource group every single time because you want to save some money. But eventually, my plan is to put the Twitch bot, which is running right now, into AKS. So it's always running, so I don't have to run it locally anymore, like I'm doing right now. Anyway, Awesome Developers streaming list. It's been updated, so we're going to do a quick search of this. But it's a list of people who are streaming coding on various different channels. So Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. And I'm listed in here as well. And we're going to do a quick search for data, because I always like to search to see who else is doing data. So we'll see if there's any new names here. Data and databases, basically. So we got Liz Phillips. Yep. There's myself. So I do a lot of database stuff, backend, .NET, Couchbase, SQL, NoSQL. That kind of thing. I do some gaming from time to time as well. I probably need to update this because I kind of switched to like old adventure games, and I do some Fortnite with my kids and stuff like that. Rachel Tapman, yep. Strilly Woo, yep. Ted Young, right. Go Maestro Go, Jack Motz, yep. So we're not seeing anybody new here, I don't think, in the data area. But if you have another interest, you can just go to this page. It's a big text file. Do a Control F, type in something you want to learn more about, like Python. And you can see here's people who are streaming Python. So you can go check them out and say, oh, well, Btor here streams on Twitch, and here's his Twitter or her Twitter. And you can go and figure out what's going on there with Python. Go in there and check out that stream. Okay. I also have some bad news, by the way. This is the last cup of coffee I have in my house. I used up the last of the grounds this morning. I haven't purchased any new coffee yet. So if you have any suggestions for good coffees that I drink, I just drink my coffee black, no cream, no sugar. So any coffees that are good to be drank black, that are not super expensive and probably something I could go and drive to a store and get locally here in Central Ohio, I would appreciate suggestions. So add those to the YouTube comments, add them to the chat room, and I will check those out. This is actually, my wife bought me a bag of, I don't know the brand, but it's like a creme brulee flavored coffee. It doesn't really taste like creme brulee, but it definitely smells like creme brulee, which is awesome. Okay. Yeah, so where are we? Back here. Yeah, speaking of YouTube, if you want to check out old episodes, you can go to bit.ly/GrowsTube. You can see, let's do this in incognito because I have some unlisted videos on there I've uploaded recently. But you can see I've got all my live coding episodes, my Sierra Online episodes that are all on there. You can check those out. Some of the highlights, when I make highlights, I also add those to YouTube. So feel free to check those out. Leave comments. They're also on Twitch for like 30 days. You can go check those out there, but I always save them to YouTube, so they're saved for the long term if you want to go check those out. All right. Yeah, so this is the blog I wrote based on some of the work we did here on the stream. Thanks to people in the chat and also to Calvin and Brant, who helped me through this and getting this blog post written. And this has been a very, very popular blog post so far. It's gotten a lot of traction, a lot of views. It got picked up by the ASP.NET Community Stand-Up. It's been, it's got pretty good ranking on Google on the search engine. So I'm very happy with this post. And I want to sort of make this post the follow-up, where we're going to go from, okay, we've developed a microservice, now we're going to actually deploy the microservice to a Kubernetes cluster, in my case, AKS. But it should work for others as well. Okay, TwitchBot is currently on. I need to update the current project. So 2 choices here. This is the demo that I used at KubeCon, so let's go with that. Let's set that project. You can see the current project at any time by just saying bang current project. And this is the walkthrough I already showed you. This is basically just enough to get AKS up and running from the command line. I haven't quite memorized all the commands yet, so I still need to refer to that. But this is the microservice that I deployed successfully to AKS and got everything up and running. And I was using that at KubeCon, so it was very successful. Others were using it as well. So I want to do the same thing, but with my ASP.NET application. Get that up and running. So we're going to do that today. C# Advent is also up and running. And right now we're in the midst of Advent. This is actually the 3rd day, December 3rd of the Advent. And right now you can see I've got a link from Morgan Kenyon for today. And the difference between IEnumerable and iQueryable, very interesting. I'm kind of familiar with them. I've used both for a while. But if you're not quite sure yet, this is a great place to start learning about those. We've got 2 other full days of content there in Advent. So Brant Burnett, I mentioned him already. He did a post on async enumerable, which is a new thing, I believe. And you can even use it in .NET Core 2. And there's a couple other posts here from Simon Painter, Luis Beltran, and Chris Ayers. I hope I'm saying those names all right. Various stuff with C# and .NET, so definitely check those out. And refer to this blog post all season long and even into January. Make it a New Year's resolution to read all these blog posts, because by Christmas Day, these are all going to be filled with links to people from the .NET community, C# community, just contributing some great writing for the Advent. So appreciate them. You can also go to this nice short link here, csadvent.christmas. That's courtesy of Calvin Allen. And Calvin and I are kind of thinking about ideas for Advent next year, making it a little bit more of its own site, a little maybe easier to manage and follow and read. Because right now you have to go to my site, basically crosscuttingconcerns.com. It's a blog post there. It's been popular enough that it might be worthy of its own site. So we're going to think of some ideas, maybe explore those next summer. So stay tuned to csadvent.christmas as well for the 4th Advent. But right now we're in the midst of the 3rd, and it's going great. So thank you everybody for contributing to that. Okay, these are some of my backlog. So we're going to skip those for now. We're going to focus today on Kubernetes and deploying to AKS. What I've got here is the Hello Microservice, which you've seen in previous streams. This microservice is very simple. All it does is, this is the Docker Compose, which will create a single node of Couchbase, in this case Enterprise 6.0.3, and a single node of my ASP.NET Core project. And it uses the wait for it that Calvin pointed out to me. And that's great for local development, that's fine, but we want to get it out to Kubernetes. We can't use the Docker Compose file on Kubernetes. So it's going to get a little more complicated. We're going to have multiple YAML files, but we're also going to be in production. So this is something, we can still use this as a local developer to get up and running very quickly and start adding features and coding, things like that. Right now, all this microservice does is has one action method basically that inserts a document and pulls it right back out and displays it to the web page. That's all it does. Sorry, that's all it needs to do, because it's just a hello world, basically. Hello microservices is what I'm calling it. Okay, now this is on, I have a Docker file for it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to clean the solution up. I could run this again just to show you running locally, but I did that. So you can go back and watch previous streams if you want to check that out. So what I want to do now is I want to actually build a Docker image. I'm doing this from Visual Studio. I just right-click on the Docker file, which was created when I did a file new, and I'm going to build a Docker image. So you can see what's going on here. It's going through all the Docker steps and creating that image for me. And my goal here is once this is created, I'm going to push it out to Docker Hub, because Kubernetes is going to be pulling the image from Docker Hub. Now, this is totally fine because this image there's nothing much in it. It's just a hello world. There's nothing sensitive about it. If you wanted to use a private repository, a private image container repository, you can do that. I think Azure has options for that, and there's lots of other options for that. But I'm just going to use the public Docker Hub, which is totally fine. And for a blog post, even better, because people can they don't have to build the image. They can just go ahead and pull it if they want to. Okay, there's the old security warning, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and so there we go. So now if I go back to Powershell, Windows Terminal, this is the cool thing. I can just create a new tab, and I can say Docker images. And I list all the images. And so there it is. Hello microservice right up there at the top, created 37 seconds ago. And I'm going to do a Docker push, and I think it's Matt Groves. Yeah, Matt Groves / hello microservice. Is that all I need to do? Image does it goes with the tag. Okay, so the tag is hello microservice. Okay, so I forgot how Docker push works. Docker push requires exactly one argument. Do I need to create a repo up here? Hello microservice. Public repo is fine. So I can even do a private repo here in Docker Hub and create that. Fine. Okay. Now can I just do this? Okay, image does not exist locally with the tag Matt Groves. Okay, so I need to tag this probably. Docker tag hello microservice with the tag Matt Groves hello microservice. It's not a tag though. Okay, those both refer to this, the same thing now. So Docker push Matt Groves, not. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. A little confused there. Matt Groves, it's not the Twitch bot I'm looking at. Hello microservice. Okay, now we're pushing out to Docker Hub. Let's check to see how our AKS cluster is coming. It's done. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. kubectl get cluster? No, get nodes is what I want. No such host. Oh, I think I skipped a step in the, yes, get credentials. Need to do that. So I actually need to connect kubectl to the cluster I just created, which the cluster was called, what's it? It's called, what did I call it? Oh gosh, going back too far. Hello Microservices group. Oh yeah, Hello Microservice AKS. Wait, that's the resource group. Hello Microservice AKS. Now I can also look in my Azure portal to see this stuff as well. Hello microservice group. I don't have to memorize it here. Hello microservice group. Okay, so this will basically make my command line, AZ utility, and kubectl connect to that cluster. So kubectl get nodes, and there we go, 2 nodes. They're both ready. And you can see here, if I could get pods, there should be nothing there. I have no pods deployed to it yet. Okay, so far so good. Now let's go back to Matt Groves here. Let's make sure that this is done. It looks like it has been pushed out to Docker Hub. Huh? Oh. Okay, so there it is. Matt Groves, hello microservice, updated 2 minutes ago. Great. Okay, so now let's go to, so this is a repo, and if you look at Bang current project, you'll see a link to, basically I've copied what Dennis did in his repo. These are the files that I need, although I don't think I need todo.yaml. Let's get rid of that one. So these are the files that he's used, and these are the commands that he's run to get the Couchbase running on Kubernetes, and then to get his Spring service running. I'm going to replace the Spring data service with my own stuff. I don't think I have secrets for this either, and you'll see why in a second. So all this stuff here, this gets the operator ready to go on Kubernetes on AKS. These are all relatively quick to do. This secret will then add some credentials. Let me just take a look here. Yes, okay. I think those are wrong. I'm going to have to take this off the screen here. I'm just going to make, yeah, let's see. Okay, so this is the weird thing. Yeah, so the scripts I showed you don't mean anything, so that's fine. No big deal. Here's the weird thing though. So I'm going to need to create some secrets. This is going to be, this is a weird Kubernetes thing. These are going to be the username and password that I'm going to give to the Couchbase cluster itself. However, in the secret file, you basically just specify data. Here's the username, here's the password. Use these as the secrets. You can refer to these secrets from other YAML files. The weird thing is they have to be base64 encoded. This doesn't make any darn sense to me. Why this needs to be base64 encoded. It makes it less readable and does not really add any security. So, for instance, if I want the username to be administrator, I have to paste this, which is the base64 encoding of the word administrator. No idea why. This just seems unnecessary to me. If there's a good reason for it, I don't know what it is. So we can do the same thing with the word password. I'm not going to expose this to the internet, so this is totally fine to give it these lame credentials. In reality and production, when I do the TwitchBot thing, I'm not going to use these credentials because just in case, right, if something goes wrong with my application, I want to use strong credentials so that even if my cluster is completely compromised, that they still need credentials to get in. But anyway, I thought it was a weird thing about Kubernetes. You got to use base64, and you know, if there's some other reason, great. But if the reason is, oh, it's more secure if they're encoded in base64, and baloney they are. Base64 is not encryption; it's just encoding. It doesn't really give you anything. Anybody who sees this can go and decode it in half a second, like I just did. I just encoded them in half a second. You do exactly the same thing and decode them. So, as pro tip, if you're relying on base64 encoding to provide security, you definitely need to rethink that. So, I don't know what the reason is, base64 encoding. Maybe there's a different reason. Maybe you want to have some. Maybe sometimes you're not passing strings, you're passing binaries. In that case, yeah, maybe you want to base64 something. But it just seems I don't know. It seems strange to me. Okay, that's the secret. And that secret is going to be used by, I probably should call it Couchbase secret, because it's going to be used by this Couchbase cluster. And this is a YAML file that's going to use the Couchbase operator. All these other files that I installed, which I could also install with Helm, by the way, but I'm going to install them manually. And this is going to be used to actually set up and configure a Couchbase cluster. I'm going to just make this a size 1. But you can see all the different settings here. These are Couchbase specific. This is the power of an operator in that you can be declarative about how you want Couchbase to be configured right here in Kubernetes. If you didn't have this, you'd have to probably, in a separate YAML file, you have to define Couchbase as a deployment, like we're doing here, but you wouldn't have the ability to say, okay, here's the data service quota I want. You'd have to create a script that on execution would configure it using the Couchbase CLI or something like that. Wasabi Cheetah with an awesome name. Thank you for the follow. Thanks for hanging out. If you got any questions about Kubernetes, feel free to throw them there in the channel or anything else I'm doing. If you have any Kubernetes experience, I would definitely welcome pointing out where I'm wrong or where I could do better. I am Wasabi. Yes, you are. Okay. So yeah, these are all just Couchbase specific settings. This is all thanks to the Couchbase specific operator. So for instance, in the Couchbase buckets, I can specify a bucket name that I want this Kubernetes to automatically create a bucket formally, which normally I'd have to do manually, like I did with the Docker image last time. And so I don't want it to call Twitch chat. What I want it to call it is, if I go back here to my startup, I want to call it, wait, no, it's not startup. It's in app settings. No, it's not app settings, home controller. Hello Microservice will be the name of the bucket. Couchbase type bucket, minimum memory quota. Well, that's not minimum, but low memory quota is fine. All these other settings are fine. Replicas, actually, we don't need any replicas because we only have server size 1. All the services, yeah, we just want 1 server. So this is a great thing about scaling with the operator. If I want to scale it out to 5 servers, 5 nodes, just do this. Easy as that. I don't have to do any other plumbing, any other work. I just change this number. And if I want to add more services, I specify them here. This particular one says all the services will be on, all 3 of the services will be on every single node. So a homogeneous distribution. If I wanted to make it more heterogeneous. Heterogeneous? Heterogeneous? I don't know. Then I could even specify, okay, I want 1 node, I want 3 nodes to be data, and I want 1 node to be query. For instance, I could do all those things in Kubernetes. We're going to keep it really simple here. I should also point out this is, some of these settings are only available for the Enterprise Edition, which right now, as far as I know, is the only thing that Kubernetes operator supports, although I believe it may already do this, but I believe it will support Community Edition as well. However, again, some of those features are not available on Community. Like for instance, your services have to be homogeneous in Community. I don't know if Plasma, which I believe is memory optimized, I don't think that's available in Community Edition. So I don't know what will happen. Those will be ignored, possibly. But just a heads up there. I'm using Enterprise here. Community, I think, will be supported soon, if not already. By supported, I mean it'll work if you put it in here. It will not be like Couchbase Incorporated won't provide you with support. Okay. Auth secret. CB TwitchBot auth. No. So see, I did some stuff with Twitch on this earlier. So secret. Yeah, we're going to call this a CB Hello Microservices auth. So that's going to refer to that secret to get the username and password for this cluster. Is there anything else in here that's Twitch related? Yeah. So CB Hello Microservices. So I'm going to give it a name. I want to take the Twitch stuff out of here because I'm not doing any Twitch stuff. Okay. Now, what is this? That's not it. I want Hello Microservice. Okay. So this is, well, I'll tell you what, why don't I go ahead and deploy this first? Just to show you that the Couchbase stuff is up and running. So we're going to go to the blog, Groves, and it is Microservice. I'm working on a blog post here, but I don't have a number for it yet. Kubernetes. Okay, so there's all the YAML files there. Now, back here in my early draft of the blog post, here are the steps I need to go through. So let's do this one by one, just so you can see that these are relatively quick things, and I believe these are all done by the Helm install, which I'm not going to do today. So we're just going to take it step by step here. Okay. These are all YAML files that you should not need to make changes to, as far as I know. They're just supporting Kubernetes things, Kubernetes files that support the operator or install the operator. And they all go fairly quickly here. And again, this only needs to be done one time. It's not so if you're creating additional deployments, you don't need to deploy these every time. So here's the secret. This is going to create a secret that the next one will use, the Couchbase cluster. This one will take some time to actually finish, but you can see I've kicked it off there already. And so if I get pods, you can see I've got the admission. We'll zoom in here a little bit. Get that admission running. I've got the operator itself running. Those are both running. Those are quick. But now it's actually spinning up a container, a pod that Couchbase will be running in. And that'll take a little bit of time because Couchbase needs to be installed. If I was doing more than one, this is just one right here. If I was doing more than one, the other nodes need to be installed and then communicate with the cluster. So they need to join the cluster. And then it needs to actually create the buckets and the configurations, all those sorts of things. So it does take a little bit of time. We can sort of monitor it here by just get pod every once in a while. Once that's done, it'll be 1/1. It'll be, I think it'll say running here. I might say ready. And then I can actually show you Couchbase running inside of AKS. And that's the easy part. That's the part that's worked for me no problem. It's the next part where I've been having struggles with. Which, knowing my luck, it would probably work just fine. And I'll be like, oh, that was easy. But, yeah, actually knowing my luck, it probably won't happen that way. All right. So we get a little more time here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up another, which I just love the tabbed. I love the tabs in the terminal here. We're going to do what's called a port forward. So right now, after installing this Couchbase cluster, it's installed on Kubernetes, but you can only access it from within the Kubernetes cluster. You can't access it externally unless you create a service that exposes ports and so on. But what we can do is we can actually do some local port forwarding and to say, okay, give me access to the certain thing, a certain service on Kubernetes. I'll do this. Whoops. I've still not gotten used to copy and paste in the terminal yet. Like so. So we can, this is going to forward a port locally. It'll just be exposed to me locally here. So I can access the Couchbase UI from my local machine, but no one else can do it. Okay, I want to make a note of how long it's going to take as well. Okay, about 2 minutes, 51 seconds. Make a little note of this. It takes about 3 minutes for a single node, which is all we need right now. It's going to take more time for additional nodes. Okay, so now let's do a port forward. So we're going to do this. And this is just going to be, it's going to keep running here in this PowerShell tab, which is another great reason to have these tabs, because if I need another window, I can just hit the plus button. Okay, but let's open this up here. So I can now go to, and I also want to just demonstrate here. Oh, actually, that probably is not going to work, is it? Because I'm already using, yeah, that's not going to work. I need to do a different, well, I have the wrong number there for one. I've already got port 8091 locally being used for my chatbot. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to port forward to a different number. I'm going to have to change this for the actual blog. This is another reason why I want to get my chatbot off of my local machine. Okay, but now we'll go to localhost 8891, and it takes me to Couchbase Server. And you can see that the port forwarding is handling this actually there. So I can log into this, which I think these are the credentials. Okay, and there we go. Those are the credentials. Excuse me. Those are the credentials I supplied in that secret file. But just to prove to you this is on Azure, if I go to servers here, you'll see that this is got this name, CB, Hello Microservices, et cetera, and that is all running on Linux, right? So that is something that's running in Azure, not running locally. If I'm going to show you the local one, I've also got that running with the same credentials, by the way. And that is running here on localhost, on Docker. So I've got two different things going there. And if I wanted to, I could show you inside Azure Portal. You'll see the details of this there. But that's good enough for now. So I also can show you there's a bucket already created, which is super nice. I didn't have to do that or anything like that. I specified 256 RAM, and you can see that's 256 RAM here. If I want to up that, all I do is just change this text file and then push that YAML file back out there. So, as Calvin would say, bada bing, bada boom, and let's put the emoji for that in there. I'm thinking about updating this emoji a little bit. But there's Calvin's bada bing, bada boom. And so we got up and running. We got Couchbase running on our, and we'll close this down. We don't need this anymore. Couchbase running on AKS. So you can see Git pods, there it is. All right. So now, I need to put out my service. So if you remember, I already pushed out this container to Docker Hub. I called it macros/hello microservice. And so this is going to be the image I have to use here, hello microservice. And so what I'm doing here is I'm creating a deployment, giving it this this selector here. This is going to match that. And the container is going to be called hello-microservice-app, probably dash something else. It's going to pull from this image. I'm going to expose, it's going to use port 5000. I think that's right. This could be the problem here. I don't know. And then we're going to pass these things into the environment. The Couchbase username is going to be pulled from, not this. So this is actually wrong. It's going to be this. So no more Twitch stuff. It's going to pull the username and password from the secret that I already have out there. And it's going to pull the URL for the Couchbase server, the Couchbase node, which is just one in this case, from, no, not from there, from here, CB Hello Microservices. Okay, and I'm also going to limit the resources. If I don't have these in here, Visual Studio Code actually yells at me, so I just wanted to keep those in here. But this is going to limit this pod to to these number of requests and CPU and so on. The idea here is that I have a I have a limited cluster. There's potential for this app to kind of run away with resources if I'm not careful with it. I don't think it will, but again, code's yelling at me, so I'll put it in there. Okay, and I have one replica, so I'm going to run one pod of this template. I'm not going to do any scaling out in this situation, just do one pod. So if I were to do replicas, I would probably need to introduce a load balancer as well to sit in front of all the different ASP.NET Core servers, which we've talked about load balancers in the past, but this is a place where you'd actually want to use those to scale out. Which means you'd probably also want to use sessions, a separate session store. We've covered that in the past as well, which Couchbase would be a good fit for. So we're in pretty good shape here. We're just going to stick with one. So this is the point where it's going to get dicey because I have not got this to successfully work yet. But I've got, let's just take a look at the list of files here. So what I want to do is I'm going to, what's the command? Can I ever remember this? Yeah, create. kubectl create -f, and it's going to be hello microservice.yaml. Okay. So it's starting to create that container there. You can see that at the bottom. Hello microservice app -deployment something something something, and it's creating that container. I has a question. What does NoSQL mean? Asking as a noob. Oh, okay. What does NoSQL mean? It's basically, well, if you're familiar with SQL, SQL is basically shorthand for relational database, which means you have to define tables. You have to use rows and columns. A row in a table is called a relation, basically. NoSQL is basically any other type of data model, so a non-relational model. So you store data as key value pairs, or as documents, or as in graph databases you have nodes and edges. And so NoSQL is a very broad, not really a technical term, more of a buzzword that means anything other than relational databases. In my case, this is Couchbase. This is a document database / key value store. It kind of acts as both. So I can kind of show you here. Just quickly, this is not the one running in AKS, but if you look here, I've got a bucket of data. So I don't have a table. I don't have a schema defined. I just have Twitch chat, which is a bucket, and it has a collection of key value pairs, or also known as documents, in there. There's a difference between key value and document database. But you can see here's the data. So the data has a key, and it has this value. In this case, it's JSON, that's what makes it a document database, is if your data is in a well-defined format like JSON or XML. So that means that this document has this data. It has no relation to this document. It has this data. Now the relation, there may be a relation, but the relation is not enforced by the database itself. So I could have one document that has first name, last name. Another document has first name, middle name, last name, and those both exist. They're not related to each other. And the reason we do this originally is because it's much easier to scale this data horizontally than relational databases. Traditional relational databases, very difficult to scale horizontally, which means it's tough to add more capacity to deal with, say, Black Friday spike, for instance, or performance can be an issue. Availability can be an issue. These are all things that NoSQL is trying to address. And by no means am I saying NoSQL, some people take it to mean stop using relational, don't use relational, relational is bad. That is not, at least that's not what I think it means at all. I think it means that basically use the right database for the job. I think is kind of what NoSQL boils down to as a buzzword, or as a movement. It's not really a technical term. It just defines what something isn't. So it always kind of annoys me, the NoSQL term. But we're stuck with it, right? Just like serverless and things like that. It's one of those buzzwords. So yeah, that's the short version of what NoSQL is. So Couchbase is one of the top document databases, and there's graph databases, which are a different way to store data. Key value, which is kind of like this, except instead of the value being JSON, the value can be whatever you want it to be. So it's even less strict than a document database. And there's also, what's the other one? Oh, yeah, like wide table, like Cassandra, HBase, things like that, that have different use cases in terms of reads are very cheap, but updates are very difficult or expensive to do. Writes are very cheap. And scaling is very good on like Cassandra, something like that. But indexing and querying can be tricky if you're not thinking about your data ahead of time. So there's lots of different approaches to data. NoSQL is just sort of a subset, and it kind of is born by the fact that even to this day, the most popular databases are still all relational databases. Like the top 4 are all relational: Oracle, Microsoft SQL, MySQL, Postgres. Those are all the top databases still. So NoSQL basically says, hey, we've got other options for storing data that might be better for your use case. And microservices really feeds into that as well, because if you split up your application, multiple microservices, well, then for user profile, a document database might be ideal. For fraud detection, a graph database might be ideal, and so on. For our legacy, whatever offering, we still need to use relational data, so that'll be another microservice. So polyglot persistence is another term you might hear sometimes. So it basically just means use the right database for the job. You could probably pick a database and use it for every single job, and it'll probably be at least mediocre for every job. But we can do better, and that's kind of what NoSQL is about there. All right. So yeah, that's a good question. It's a big, broad answer, though. I would just encourage you to look around, check out Couchbase, try it out, see what you like, see what you don't like, and see how it compares to the databases you're currently using. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's look at this. So, hey, see, this is what I mean. Like, it's actually running now. It's actually working. So, geez Louise. Okay, so now we're going to do a port for it just to see that the pod is, in fact, working. So we're going to do another one of these guys here. And over here it is this one. That's the name of it. And I believe it is 5,000. It could be 5,001. I don't remember. We're going to port forward and see what happens. Okay, we'll do it over here. All right, and so now port 5,000 is being exposed to me locally. So let's see what happens if I go to localhost 5,000. Okay, let's see. We got an error. This is way farther than I've ever gotten in the past. So this is fantastic. Connection, ref, use, so error. Okay, so maybe it is 5,001. Okay, also error. Maybe it's 80. And there's probably a way for me to figure this out, actually. Failing connection for... So that's not doing anything. All right, let's go back here and look at my Docker file. Okay. Exposing port 80. Okay, so I assume that's what it's running at, port 80. But you know what? I don't think I actually did that. And here, I exposed port 5,000. So I think what I want is to expose... Maybe I'll just try this. So I just made a change to the YAML file. So what I need to do is I need to do a replace, I think -f, and it's hello microservice. Is that right? Okay. So then I can get pods, and we can see that it's terminating the old one, and it's going to run the new one. Exactly what I want. Okay, and it's now running. Let's try it again. We'll just do... Oh, it's different. It's a different name now. The pod has a different name. So 5,000. This goes to port 80. Still not going. Okay. Well, so good news is this is way farther than I've gotten in the past. The bad news is I can't quite figure out this port number in gymnastics. So I'm sure I've got something wrong here. Container port 80. It's just called server. That's interesting. I wonder what that means. Okay. And then over here. Let's try, I don't know, well, the other one was, I don't think this is forcing SSL. It is, using HTTPS redirection. Okay. So maybe we don't want that, but let's see. Let's go 443 and see what happens. Okay, well, I got an error this time. So I think something's happening. Is this maybe because, yeah, okay. Error forwarding to port 443. Okay. And it's maybe because I was going to HTTP error 500. Internal server error. Well, that's interesting. That's good, though. I think that means it's actually hitting it. But there is a server error. Now, the question is, how do I figure out what that server error was? I could probably go in here and... Oh, here we go. We got a question from Wasabi. Yeah, I understand it means not SQL. I just wanted to know what it meant when looking at that term, looking at data management for back-end, front-end game development. Considering it when I wish to put a bug report submission page that a person can send out, and that bug report then in turn can be split into multiple parts to dissect the problem. So you're thinking about using a NoSQL database as the back-end for a bug reporting system for game development? Someone's playing a game and they find a bug, and you want them to submit that bug report, and you want to store that in a database. Okay, that seems like an okay use case for NoSQL. I guess my question would be, if you're somebody like Zynga or a King or Nintendo, where the amount of bug reports might be very large, and the content of the bug reports or the content of the bug reports might be very large, might be multiple pieces of data. And like you're saying, split into multiple parts to dissect the problem. The multiple parts might be themselves submitted as part of the bug report. In that case, having a large-scale database to receive and manage and query those bug reports might be warranted. If let's say you're a smaller indie game, like what's that game with the princess and the puzzles? Oh, one of those Android games I love so much. Princess, puzzle, Android. What is that game called? Gosh, it doesn't really matter. It's not called Princess. Oh wait, this is it right here. The best Android puzzle games. If you've not played this one, it's a great one. What is this? Threes, Mini Metro, Shadowmatic, Misspelled Boats, Prune, The Room, Alpha Bear. Monument Valley. Yes, great game, Monument Valley. I recommend you check this out. A very popular game, but this is a paid game. It's not a free-to-play game, and it's more of an indie game. So I would expect the amount of bug reports to be relatively small compared to, say, a Candy Crush audience finding bug reports. And so I don't know if you really benefit from a NoSQL database in that case, unless there's things about the bug reports that are not consistent with each other. So like a schema would be kind of a burden in that case, because you'd have to know all the different fields ahead of time. Or if new fields become available, you have to add those to your schema and so on. So for things like that, a NoSQL database might be worth checking out, a document database specifically, since it sounds like you have structured or semi-structured data from these bug reports. Yeah, absolutely. I think that might be something worth exploring. I think document database would be the best one for that. So yeah, might be cool to check that out. Additionally, if we're talking mobile games, you're an indie dev. You're just asking ahead of time. Yeah, if we're talking mobile games, by the way, Wasabi, if you're doing stuff that is deployed to a phone, Couchbase has a really tremendous mobile offering called Couchbase Mobile, which consists of Couchbase Lite and Couchbase Sync Gateway. And if you've done mobile in the past, maybe you've run into this problem before. And I know I have. And this was a huge headache for me. But you're storing data on the phone, and you want to sync that data back to a data center at some point. Perhaps the phone goes out of range, goes into a subway or a remote area where there's no service. But you still want the game to be playable, and you still want people to update the database, even though they're offline. And then you want to sync back when they have connection again. That is a deceptively hard problem to solve yourself with, say, SQLite or Core Data or whatever, and then syncing it back to a database in your data center, your servers. So Couchbase Mobile has solved that problem. And basically, you read and write to a Couchbase Lite database that lives on the device, regardless of whether you have connection or not. Reads and writes to a local database. And then if you add Sync Gateway, you can automatically sync data from your device up to Couchbase Server in the cloud or your data center or what have you. And all that syncing is all handled for you. And all the configuration is there to handle all the edge cases and things like that. Because that's really where the problem is those edge cases are killer with syncing. Yeah, it is awesome, Wasabi. And it's something that I think we've been trying to shout from the rooftops to mobile developers. Like, look, you don't have to do the sync yourself anymore. So that might be a good thing for bug reports. And just on a personal note, I do a lot of gaming on my phone, and I do a fair bit of air travel, and I don't really want to pay for the Wi-Fi on the plane just for gaming or whatever. So there's a couple of my favorite games. One of them is Dr. Mario World. This is from Nintendo. Great game. I love Dr. Mario. But you can only play when you have connection. It is online only. There's another game I like called Wordscapes, which is kind of like a Scrabbly word finder puzzle game. And it benefits from having a connection. But I can play it while being offline. It'll just go and sync my data after the fact. So I love the fact that Wordscapes supports offline as well as online mode. And I don't like the fact that I can't play Dr. Mario on an airplane, Dr. Mario World on an airplane, without paying for the expensive Wi-Fi connection. So I think offline first. For gaming is a really great feature. Not to mention business apps, of course, field management type of things. I believe UPS is a Couchbase customer that, they go everywhere, right? And some places don't have connection. So they still need to be able to scan boxes and that kind of stuff and sync up later. So cruise ships, a lot of cruise ships are using Couchbase for a similar purpose because internet connection is expensive on cruise ships, right? So not just for the people on board, but not just for the guests on board, but for the company as well. So, and United Airlines is another one that uses Couchbase Lite, I believe, because there are parts of an airport where you're not allowed to have internet connection on, or there's not good Wi-Fi. Or once the door closes, for instance, but until you get up in the air, you can't use. You have to be in airplane mode, and that includes the flight attendants as well. So anyway, I'm just going on and on about Couchbase Mobile, but it's really it solves a problem that I know. I worked on a team. We had this problem ourselves, and we probably spent 8 or 9 months getting that sync to work, and it still didn't work all that well. It's still really janky. So if you're thinking about that, Wasabi, definitely check out Couchbase Lite. There's a free community version of Couchbase Lite, Couchbase Sync, and Couchbase Server. So I definitely recommend checking those out. And okay. So we're still having trouble with the port number, so I don't really know what I'm doing. What I want to do is I want to eliminate a problem here, or eliminate a potential problem, and that is this HTTPS redirection. I haven't done anything with TLS certificates on Kubernetes. I don't know if any of that stuff is a problem, so I want to eliminate that as a possible issue. So I'm going to have to rebuild my Docker file. Let me just compile first, make sure that works. Yeah, I read up on your bio and have Couchbase pulled up. This is amazing. I had a mobile game in mind. This would help a lot. That's great, Wasabi. That's really awesome. I'm not much of a mobile guy myself, so I'm glad I could introduce it to you, and hopefully it'll serve your purpose. If you can always ask questions here, but if you have technical questions about it, forums.couchbase.com. The mobile engineers are always checking out and answering questions there. There's a forum just for mobile at that site, and go and check it out. And not just tech questions. If you have comments like, "Hey, this part was confusing to me," or "Hey, I didn't understand this documentation. You could improve it by doing X." Post that stuff there too. We'd love to hear, especially if you've never used Couchbase before. You're getting up and running for the first time. That'd be awesome. What kind of mobile game are you working on, Wasabi? I'm curious now because I don't do as much gaming as I like, but when I do, it's generally on a phone. So I'm curious, and if you're working on here on Twitch, that'd be even cooler if you could share some of that on Twitch. So yeah, tell us all about your game while I get this Docker image rebuilt. Build Docker image. I probably could automate some of this Docker image building stuff. I probably will with GitHub Actions or something, but we're not there yet. Okay, Docker images. 4 seconds ago. Okay, Docker tag. How did I do this? Docker tag. Hello microservice with Matt Groves. Hello microservice. Let's see if this works. Oh shoot! I put too many T's. How do I remove these T's? Is this going to work? Okay. Too many T's. Okay. Good. Docker. I want to push. Okay. And let's just go back to Docker Hub and verify this was updated a few seconds ago. Great. And now I have no idea. So one of the things in here says it's image pull policies always. I have no idea if that's going to actually do it or not. So what I want to do is I'm going to do a, where was it? Over here. Replace. Let's just make double sure. Delete. Well, for now, I'm working on an open world sandbox game, but for the mobile idea, I want to go for a 2D isometric style game. Smiley robot face. 2D isometric game. So, for those who don't know what isometric means, isometric game, it generally means it's kind of like on its side, like this. Kind of like tilted and side. So if you've ever played like Super Mario RPG or Diablo or something like that, it's isometric style game. So that's pretty cool. I assume you're going to be using Unity sort of thing for your game. I could be wrong about that. But what kind of isometric game? Like an RPG, platformer, strategy? Yeah, I'm super curious. I'd love to see what you come up with, especially if you're streaming it. Okay. Okay, over here. So, okay, let's just clear this. My ASP.NET application is not up there. Actually, Godot. Okay, different game engine, Godot. So I'm going to push this one up here. Not replace, but was it create? Install? I can't remember. Okay. A modern open world 2. I love my open world games. Okay, so open world. I used to play a lot of GTA back in the day, like Vice City. That's how that long ago I was really involved in those. But Vice City was kind of like an action game, right? So when you say open world, like that has a lot of different meanings to me, I think. Like, is it just going to be a lot of action, shooting, platforming, vehicles, stuff like that, or is it more of an RPG, like like a Final Fantasy sort of thing, or an adventure game? I actually love adventure games where there's not a lot of action involved. It's just like solving puzzles and learning and exploring, stuff like that. You want to separate from that and give it fun, like running around the rooftop, superpowers, racing, just random fun stuff. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. I saw on Twitter a while ago there was someone developing. I don't know if you call it an open world game, but it was. It looked really super fun. I don't think he's actually released it yet. He's working on it, or maybe just a proof of concept. But it was a trash pickup game. I know that sounds like, oh, that sounds kind of lame, but it was a couple like anthropomorphic animals, like squirrels or something, that were just driving around like crazy and throwing, picking up trash from different houses and throwing it into the truck. And it looked super, super fun. Kind of like Crazy Taxi meets Untitled Goose Game. It's just kind of a fun-looking game. I really wanted to play it, but it was only just a short video on the Twitter. Okay, so the service is up and running. What I want to do is I'm going to try the port forwarding again. What's going on here? Okay, port forwarding. You wouldn't have to remember the name by any chance, would you? I don't know if we even had a name. I could go and search for it on Twitter. Just real quick here. So it could be, nope, that's not it. I thought I remember to use the word super fun, but I can't remember. It's been a while. I'm gonna find it. Darn it. Goose Game. Yep. Oh. Gosh. I can't remember it now. I'm sorry. It'll come to me some other time. I don't even know if it had a name. It was just someone, the Twitter account had a name. I found it on, but yeah, sorry about that. All right. Okay, I need to get the name of the pod because I need to know what the name of the pod is so I can forward to it. It changes every time. I would like to prevent that from happening. Let's try 80. Let's see if this works. No worky. No worky. Okay. So I'm making progress here, but it's getting a 500 error. So I'm worried that there's something going on in the app that's causing it to fail. me fix that. Like, can I do any sort of examining, I guess, of that pod? kubectl. All right, so kubectl, like, isn't there a UI? Isn't there a UI for this, like a dashboard or something? Deploying the dashboard UI is not deployed by default. Following command. Okay, do I need to run this, or can I just say kubectl proxy 8001? Okay, so I got this going, but what's the UI? Kubernetes dashboard not found. Okay. This is what I'm looking for. I remember seeing this UI at some point. Do I need to actually do this? I don't know. I'm just sort of cargo culting here. No endpoints available for service Kubernetes dashboard. Okay, well that didn't do anything. Can I delete this? It says apply. What's the opposite of apply? Can I do delete? Hello, living legend. Hopefully you're not talking to me. I don't think I'm a living legend, but laser with a series of numbers at the end that are. I'm going to. I don't want to say them because I don't want to hear a bunch of nice comments in the chat. kubectl git pods. Okay. I'm not sure who the living legend is. But thank you for joining us, Laser. Do you know anything about Kubernetes? /swagger? Not really what I'm looking for. Oh, September 6th is your birthday. Oh, okay. That's September's the 9th month, and 6th day is your birthday. Well, happy belated birthday. Okay, so that's not really helping me. Let's see, what else we got? kubectl. Are you a web developer? Yes, I guess you could call me a web developer. That's most of my career has been web development. I have done a bit of mobile and a bit of desktop in my day, and a few other things. But yeah, I do mostly web development. Can we do like explain, kubectl explain, and then, nope, that's not what I want. I want this guy right here. Okay, no, kubectl. I'm also learning web development to get super rich ASAP. Oh, thank you for the follow, Laser. Super rich ASAP. I don't know what you consider super rich. I don't think I consider myself super rich. I think getting super rich is not necessarily about the job that you have. It's about how you treat money and how responsible you are in terms of saving and making smart decisions. And you know, the super rich part, I think there's some luck involved there. But I don't know what you consider super rich, right? And I don't know if web development is the best way to get super rich ASAP. I don't know if there really is a way to get super rich ASAP. But I will say I do love web development and I enjoy it when I do it. So there's that. I would love that even if if no one was paying me to. Are you working in a company or running your own company? I am not running my own. Well, so I have run my own sort of independent consulting in the past, But I've always been employed by a company. I've never been completely independent. So right now I work for a database company called Couchbase Incorporated, based in the San Francisco Bay Area, where we make NoSQL database software for servers and mobile devices. Wasabi and I were just talking about it before you joined. Before that, I've worked as a consultant. I've worked as a product developer. I've worked as in-house developer. And some independent stuff on my own. I've done some. I've worked at a very tiny startup that's still going. I've worked on little one-off side projects here and there. I do not mean CouchDB. Very common mistake there. CouchDB and Couchbase are two different things. Couchbase originally started with CouchDB and adding memcache to it. That's how it started, but it's changed a lot since then. So it's added a lot of stuff on top of CouchDB, and it really doesn't use much CouchDB anymore. It's a small bit of CouchDB behind the scenes, like a heavily modified version of it. But we've added a lot of stuff to it. CouchDB still exists, still an open source project on Apache, but Couchbase really only has the couch in the name due to a merger between two companies, Couch One and Membase. Are you currently living in San Francisco? I am not living in San Francisco, and I don't have any plans to move to anywhere in California. I live in Ohio. I live in central Ohio. I love it here. My kids go to school here. Lots of family here. I do make trips out to San Francisco from time to time. I've been out there at least twice this year. Our headquarters, did I say San Francisco? Actually, I think I'm at Bay Area. Our headquarters is in Santa Clara. So I think I was out there at least once this year, maybe twice. And I've been out there for conferences as well. Not to visit headquarters, but just to go to conferences. So no, I do not live there, and I don't plan on living there. Do you have any apps of yours online? So a lot of what I do for Couchbase right now is I write sort of educational apps, informative. So I do tutorials and demos, things like that. Yeah, you love development too. Yeah, cool. Web development. So anything of mine that's online right now. So let me see. This is a company I used to work for. I helped start this company called EasyRep. This is one of mine. Although I haven't worked on this in a year or two, maybe more. I don't know. But this is kind of a tool for salespeople to track territories and commissions, things like that. So that's one of mine. You can also find me on GitHub. Some stuff on there. You say, wow, I didn't do the design, so I'm not much of a designer. You can see all my stuff here on GitHub. What else? I was going to mention something else I've done that's relatively public. Oh, yeah. This isn't a website per se, but I have written a book a while back. It's been a while now, like 6 years. I wrote a book, AOP and .NET, which does a lot of aspect-oriented programming examples there. Not exactly a website, but some good stuff in there. Look very active on GitHub. Yeah, I guess so. I'm relatively active. I kind of wish I was more active in other open source projects. A lot of these contributions are just content that I've created. And, a few contributions to other projects here and there. You can see it's mostly commits. I don't do a lot of the other stuff. But yeah, I like GitHub. I'm using GitHub for a long time. What else do I have online? I don't know. The one of the apps I've worked on this year is called the Couchbase Digital Challenge, but it's something we only run during events, and so I can't really show it to you right now. Is it possible to be a professional web developer without any degree? Yes. Yes, it is possible to be a professional web developer without any degree. Professional in the sense that you are paid to do web development work. Yes, that is possible. What I sense your question is you're asking, is it possible to get a job as a full-time web developer without any degree? That's going to depend on a lot of things. The company hiring. Some companies will absolutely not consider you without a degree. Some companies will absolutely not consider you without a specific degree in, if you have a degree in history, for instance, they're like, well, we're not going to hire you to be a web developer. Some companies will be okay as long as you have any degree. Some companies will have specific degrees. Some companies will consider it, but you're going to have to show that, depending on the job, you're going to have to show that you have enough experience or education otherwise. So maybe if you've gone through a boot camp, for instance, boot camps can often help you get placements for jobs. And if you have enough experience doing development, then some companies, and I think rightfully so, will say, well, we don't really put that much emphasis on the degree. If you've demonstrated that you've done, you've been coding somewhere for 4 years, that's good enough for us to at least look at your resume. How many projects do I need in a portfolio to get a job? Wow. So since this is episode 42, I'm going to say 42. That's the answer to life, the question of life, the universe, and everything. 42 projects to get a job. No, I don't know if that's really the right question. How many projects in a portfolio to get a job? As many as you can, I guess. It's all going to depend heavily on what job you're applying for. If you're applying for a position that says senior on it, that generally applies. They want to see someone with experience. If you're applying for a junior position, you might be more likely to at least be considered. I mean, how many projects are good enough? Yeah, I don't know if that's really a question I can answer. How many projects, right? So, it would be really more about if I was looking at you for a position, if I was interviewing, I would be looking more at the quality, not necessarily the quantity of projects. Again, that depends on what position you're applying for. As a junior dev, yeah, if you don't have a degree, I'd look for, have you done any other kinds of education? Have you gone through any boot camps or taken any online training or things like that? Just to show you have some sort of education in your experience. Do not apologize for asking questions in this channel. It's totally fine. There is, as I said at the very beginning, there's no such thing as a stupid question in this channel. So please ask away. I guess I'd want to see make your resume and your portfolio as impressive as you can. If you have some education you can put on there, if you've gone through some training, taken some courses, it doesn't necessarily have to be college. But certainly that helps. I have a degree, so maybe I'm the wrong person to ask because I have a degree in computer science, and so this is something that I've never really had to face, trying to get a job without having a degree on my resume, trying to get a job in programming without a degree on my resume. Can you see my latest web app and let me know if it's good or bad to add in portfolio? Sure, paste the link there. We'll take a look at it here. Yeah, absolutely. Anything you can do, if you can go through any sort of certification process, especially ones that take some level of commitment, either time or money or both. That whatever credential you have has some value to it, some demonstrable value to it. That's always going to help. Planet Spinach on Heroku. Let's take a look here at Planet Spinach. Taking a little bit to run here. I'm going to assume it's because your Heroku app was in a cold state, and we're not just warming it up. So, because I'm assuming it's a free tier of Heroku. I need to make some modifications like adding items to cart without requiring user to log in. So you created some sort of e-commerce site here. That's what it sounds like. Okay, so and you've created it in React, so I can see that right there in the title. One stop for all healthy cravings. Okay. So yeah, we've got all kinds of interesting stuff here. Add to basket. Got to log in to do that. So I can log in, create a new account. Sign up. User already exists. Is already a test user. Okay, so the login's not quite working here, or I'm done something wrong. Oh, seems to work. So maybe a better error message there is what I looked for. But I mean, this looks pretty good. Add to basket. This looks like a pretty good e-commerce site. You know, so I would, if you're adding this to your portfolio, it looks good, right? But I would make sure to be ready to explain all the choices you made in building this site. You are the test user, yeah. You know, what frameworks did you use? What languages did you use? And, you know, that's not necessarily put on your resume, but that's something you want to explain in an interview. But for each one of these tools that you use, like React is one you use for sure. You used Heroku. I don't know if you used a database on the back end or you're using Node or something like that. You know, are those individual credentials you can go and get to be certified on, like LinkedIn, for instance? React, Node, and Postgres, yeah. So can you go and find a course on React or Node or Postgres and take those courses and add those credentials to your resume, for instance? So, you know, you're just trying to demonstrate that, you know, you don't have a degree, but instead of a degree, I've done training in X, Y, and Z. All right, and then as a result of that training, I've also created this portfolio site. Who knew test.com was an actual site? I wonder if they take the @test.com Slack. I'm not sure who owns test.com, but I think example.org is the one you're supposed to use, because I think ICANN actually designates that as the official test domain, sort of thing. So, anywho, yeah, it looks like you have pretty good skills here with Planet Spinach Laser. So, yeah, if you have certificates, definitely add those to a resume. Those are going to help you. But again, it's oftentimes about the company. Like, do they really require a... Yeah, thank you for verifying Wasabi, example.org. Do they really require a degree, or is it something that they want? That's a nice thing. And you got to think about your competition as well. It's, you know, if it comes down between you and another person, if all things are equal, they have a degree and you don't. If everything else is equal, you're probably going to go with the person with a degree. So you have to make your case on your resume to say, well, I don't have a degree, but I do have, you know, education in this, and I've actually deployed this, and this, and, you know, here's an actual job that I did. You know, when I was first starting out, you know, even though I had a degree at the time, the job market was a little tough. So, you know, I would put as much as I could on there. Like I spent, you know, a couple hours a week working on my college's library website. So I put that on there. I worked at my parents' pizza restaurant, and I actually created software for the restaurant. They didn't pay me for that software, right? And you know, I don't know if that code would stand up to scrutiny, but I put that as experience on my resume. So, you know, you're trying to sell yourself on a resume. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you have to think about what does your potential employer actually want, and what might the competition for that position, what's going to make you stand out compared to them. We went off on a crazy tangent here, Laser, but that's totally fine, because I can't get anything to work here anyway. I was trying to get some more information about this pod to see what might be the problem. Let's see. So it's a KubeCon. I would explain. I did explain. Okay. Can I just hello microservice app? Did I can do anything? Nope. So should I skip adding this e-commerce app in my resume and should create some better projects? You know, I don't see why you wouldn't put that in your resume. I wouldn't hang your whole resume on that. Maybe just list that in a section in your resume under projects that employers can look at. If you have the source code for that on GitHub, that's also a good idea because then they actually look at the source code and see that you're able to write code. You know, I've been doing some interviews this year, and you know, it's just surprising that people looking for a coding position don't have any code out there in public on GitHub or, you know, it doesn't have to be GitHub, it could be GitLab or wherever, or even a blog post that shows a code snippet. You know, you may have written lots of great code. If it's only internal, I can't really look at that. So I have to go on other things. So yeah, if you could put your code out there too, not only the app itself that shows you actually can deploy it to Heroku, which is a good thing, but you actually have the code for it as well. Okay. Let's see. What else we have here? Logs. Can I get logs? Any logs? Oh, that is a good log right there. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Operation is not supported for relative URI. This is interesting. Try to get username from connection string. Set authenticator. Relative URI. Okay, we got all kinds of exceptions here. But I think the first one here, the operation is not supported for relative URI. So URI, get user info. Username from connection string, set authenticator. So set authenticator. Yeah, I do have it in GitHub public repos. And then I'll try to add this project in resume and also the GitHub link. Yeah. Yeah. I think those are, if you're looking for a job, especially if there's a job asking for React, Node, Express, Postgres experience, I think that's absolutely relevant. And if I was, you know, if you had made it as far as an interview with me, I would look at that. That'd be one of the things I would look at on your resume for sure. The problem is, depending on the company you're applying to, it's not always the technical interview or technical screening you have to pass through first. Sometimes it's a HR screening, and you know they're looking for specific keywords or specific buzzwords or things like that. You know, so getting past them can be tough in some organizations, right? If they have very strict, like, oh, you must have a 4-year degree or you must have 5 years experience, things like that. But that being said, you know, that can be discouraging. But you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you see a job that looks interesting to you or a company that looks interesting to you, apply. And the worst thing to do is say no. Okay, so I'm getting an ASP.NET error, a .NET error. That's a good thing. So I'm hitting the service, but it seems like the configuration is not working. Thank you so much for helping, giving me great tips. Definitely going to help me. Yeah, Laser, this is something that seems to be a common theme here on the Twitch channel, is people coming in and asking for career advice. And so, you know, also don't take my word as gospel either. Like I said, I had a degree, and so I haven't been in that same position as you are. So, you know, I'm only telling you what I would think based on my limited experience. There's lots of other people out there who can certainly help you with their opinions too. Thank you for the follow there, Z. So anyway, Laser, if you're looking for more opinions, definitely check out the Twitch Live Coders stream, which I mentioned earlier in the chat, or earlier in the stream, but Twitch/team/Live Coders. Lots of other people on here who you can ask similar questions to, see what they have. Think they have different tips. Some of these people may be in a situation same situation as you've been, where they don't have a degree yet and they're looking to get a job in coding, and so they can definitely help you out. So don't take my word for complete gospel. Check out this awesome people on Team Live Coders as well. It would be nice if this log actually printed out the value it's trying to connect to. Or if I could somehow attach this. Dev.to. Yeah, there's some sections of Dev.to that might have career advice in them. Yeah, Dev.to is a big place. Lots of stuff there. So maybe you narrow that down to one of the tags in dev.to/careers or whatever. Just wondering if it's not overriding this as I expected it to. Where is it? Hello Microservice. CB Hello Microservices. Should be pulling from, no, not there. Should be pulling from here. You visited the site many times before? Yeah, dev.to, lots of stuff there. Hey, thank you for the follow there, Ruip Braga. R-U-I-P Braga. Hope I get that right. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Love getting follows. So I'm going to wrap up the stream here in about 25 minutes. It's about noon here in Eastern U.S. time. So let's see if we can't make some progress here before I shut down the stream. So I would expect this to be overwritten by this setting right here. And the value is going to be passed. This is the way that Dennis did it. It passed from that. So what I'm thinking, unfortunately, is I don't know how to attach a debugger to AKS. If it's possible, I don't know. But maybe add some more logging here. Cool. I'm really happy to have found your stream and have the bug report question answered. Well, yeah, let me know how that goes, Wasabi. That would be pretty cool to see if you decide to go forward with NoSQL for that. And please report back the next stream and let us know how it's going. If you have any troubles, if you have technical troubles or suggestions, comments, feedback, you can always go to the forums, or you can just leave them here. That's fine too. Forums.couchbase.com, or you can just hit my stream next time I'm live. Happy to engage with you that way. I just kind of want to write out. Do you have a dev.to? I don't think I have a dev.to. I do have a blog, which I published earlier today, crosscuttingconcerns.com, earlier in the stream. And right now, the C# Advent is going on. So it's 2 blog posts every day that come from the C# community. I'm a big fan of C#. So this is something I like to do every year. This is the 3rd year I've done it, but we promote 2 blog posts every day from December 1st to December 25th, C# Advent. We're in the 3rd day of it right now, so you can check it out there, crosscuttingconcerns.com. I think my friend Calvin Allen, who is not joining us today, has not joined us so far, but he has also got this short version here, csadvent.christmas. You can go check that out there. He may be posting or reposting or something all the different articles into a dev.to account. So that may be happening on dev.to. These are not my blog posts, though. These are from the C# community. I'm just sort of trying to organize it, organize the process. I haven't actually... I would only do one of these tops. So these are coming from 49 to 50 different authors. So pretty cool time of year to go check those out. Wasabi Cheetah, you were learning C# for game dev. Very cool. I think you said Godot already. I think I knew Godot was C# gaming framework. Yeah, look at that isometric game right there. I think I've looked into Godot before. Yeah, so one of the languages is C#, but also these other as well. That's pretty cool. The game engine you waited for. So I've actually, the last time I touched a game engine was for a mobile app. It was a long time ago. What was it called? It was called, shoot, MVVM Cross? Is that right? No, that's not a game. That's not a game engine. Oh, I can't remember what it was, but it was a game engine for Xamarin, for Android or iOS, I believe. That's been a long, long time. Long, long time. I think actually no, it was called Mono something or other. Mono Game maybe. I think actually my very first GitHub commit was to a game engine. There's two versions, Godot, which goes with C#, and Godot Mono, which goes C#. Also, Godot is C++, and Godot Mono uses C#. So it runs on the Mono framework. Okay. That's cool. All right. So, well, it looks like I've got some work to do to kind of figure this out and narrow down what the problem might be. I strongly suspect, that I'm not getting the correct values into the configuration here. But I don't have any evidence to support that. Even if I did, I'm not sure the correct way to go about it. So I'm going to need to do some investigation on my own for that. So I think I'm going to spare you some more of my flailing around here. And we're going to go raid somebody. A fellow team member, perhaps. So I don't think I've raided C# Fritz in a while. What? Maybe I have. But since we're talking games today, maybe we'll raid a game developer. We're going to raid Honest Dan Games. So if you are a subscriber, make sure to please hit that, what's it called? The emote, the bada bing, bada boom. This is my friend Calvin Allen. He always likes to say bada bing, bada boom when we accomplish something. So it doesn't look like games. It looks like it's cookies or something, but that sounds even more awesome. So we're going to go over to Honest Dan Games and check that out. I'll join for a little while. Everybody please be nice to Honest Dan Games, and we'll see you next time. I'll be streaming Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. So if you want to join me again there, I would appreciate it. I hope you all have a good one. We're going to hit the raid button now. See ya.
Though. Is that a potato? What are you about? No, they're not like cardboard. They're crunchy. They were soft first, now they're crunchy. They're evolving to be stronger.